guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Adanna, and on this channel we talk about all things stories and self-care. We're usually talking about bookish content like book hauls, books that we're reading, books that we love, authors that we love, and just general self-care tips. So if you have yet to subscribe, definitely do so down below. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my uploads. And if you haven't yet, also follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Adanna L. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to today's video. So I don't usually do this, right? I'm so excited for today's video. I am going to be doing a book haul. I did a bit of shopping. And I normally don't buy books. I typically love to either borrow them from a friend or borrow them from my library, or in my neighborhood we have these cute little book drop-offs where you can drop off a book and then you can pick up a new one. That's typically how I do it, but for my birthday, I went ahead and splurged, and I am so excited to talk about the books that I got. So the first book that I purchased is called The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and this is what it looks like. So just from the back, I'm gonna read the back. Reclusive Hollywood icon Evelyn Hugo is finally ready to tell the truth about her glamorous and scandalous life. But when she chooses unknown magazine reporter Monique Grant to write her story, no one is more astounded than Monique herself. Determined to use this opportunity to jumpstart her career, Monique listens in fascination. From making her way to Los Angeles in the 1950s to leaving show business in the 80s, and of course, the 7 husbands along the way, Evelyn unspools a tale of ruthless ambition, unexpected friendship, and a great forbidden love. But as Evelyn's story nears its conclusion, it becomes clear that her life intersects with Monique's own in tragic and irreversible ways. Written with Reed's signature talent for creating complex, likable characters, this is a mesmerizing journey through the splendor of old Hollywood into the sobering realities of the present day as 2 women struggle with what it means and what it costs to face the truth. So this is, again, written by Taylor Jenkins Reid, who I've never actually heard of before, but I'm really excited to get into the story. Apparently it is like a fictional tale that's kind of loosely based on the life of Marilyn Monroe, and I think that's really fascinating, and so I'm really excited. I mean, it's been on a couple people's book clubs and book lists. A spellbinding novel about love, glamour, and the price of fame. Who doesn't find that interesting? I'm really excited to get into this book. Not sure when I'll read it, but I'm just glad to have it on my bookshelf. So the next book that I purchased is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This is a book that is really popular right now. I am so excited to read it. I'm actually going to read a little bit of the insert from a synopsis of the story. So it says, in a moment of desperation, a young woman named Adeline meets a dangerous stranger and makes a terrible mistake. As she realizes the limitations of her Faustian bargain, being able to live forever without being able to be remembered by anyone she sees, Addie chooses to flee her small village as everything she once held dear is torn away. There are still dreams to be had and a life to live, and she is determined to find excitement and satisfaction in the wide, beckoning world, even if she will be doomed to be alone forever. Or not quite alone, as every year on her birthday, the alluring Luke comes to visit, checking to see if she's ready to give up her soul. Their darkly thrilling game stretches through the ages, seeing Addie witness history and fight to regain herself as she crosses oceans and tries on various lives. It will be 300 years before she stumbles into a hidden bookstore and discovers someone who can remember her name, and suddenly everything changes again. So again, a book that I have seen across the interwebs. A lot of people have raved about this book and have given it really good reviews. I've actually never read anything from V.E. Schwab. It seems like she's written The Time Traveler's Wife and Life After Life. I mean, it's set in France, number one. So we have the, that being able to tell a story in a different country element to it, which I love. We're talking about someone who is, we're talking about a heroine, and just kind of thinking about like that story of like heartbreak and being able to just kind of reinvent yourself, which I'm really excited about. I don't know. I really am excited to read this book as well. Have no clue when I'll get to it because I have so many other books on my list, but I am, again, really excited to have my hands on it and that it is on my bookshelf. Another book that I'm actually probably a little late to the party with and really super excited to have my hands on is A Promised Land by, of course, President Barack Obama. I have heard that this book is amazing. It is really thick. Let's see how many pages does it have. Damn, it got a lot of pages. So it has 701 pages. It is a thick, heavy book. I really liked it because one, I wanted to get apparently there's a lot of backstories in this book. He goes into depth about certain aspects of his life and about the campaign and his presidency that I'm really excited to read about. I also really love the cover. I like the fact that it's really simplistic. I like the black and white. I think this would make an amazing coffee table book, actually. I definitely could have gotten this sooner. I just am not, again, one that typically buys books, but I figured, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and purchase it, and it's a story that I'm really excited to get into. And so I'm, again, happy to have this on my bookshelf, but it'll probably actually live on my coffee table. The next book that I purchased for my birthday is a book that I have been trying so hard to rent from the library. And I have been very unsuccessful. I mean, the wait list for this book is ridiculous. And it is called The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. First of all, the cover, right? I love the way that this cover looks. Again, this is a book that a lot of people have given really rave reviews. I don't typically see a book on Goodreads that has an average rating of higher than 4.5, and this is definitely almost pushing 5 stars in terms of an average rating. So, you know, I really, truly, I believe people, and I'm excited just based off of the reviews alone to get into this one. So just to give, I'm sure some people have already read this, but just to give a quick synopsis. The Vignes sisters will always be identical, but after growing up together in a small Southern Black community and running away at age 16, it is not just the shape of their daily lives that is different as adults, it's everything, including their racial identities. Many years later, one sister lives with her Black daughter in the same Southern town she once tried to escape. Across the country, the other secretly passes for white, and her white husband knows nothing of her past. Still, although separated by so many miles and just as many lives, the fates of the twins remains intertwined. What will happen when their own daughter's storylines intersect? Weaving together multiple strands and generations from the Deep South to California, from the 1950s to the 1990s, The Vanishing Half is at once a riveting emotional family story and a brilliant exploration of race, gender, and identity, and the lasting influence of the past as it shapes a person's desires and expectations. So I think this is billed as somewhat of a historical fiction. I could be wrong about that, but it's billed as an amazing book. It is, again, it's a lot of people's book club picks. I can't remember when it came out, but it has gotten so much praise and so much attention that I have not been successful in being able to borrow it, but I was like, you know what? Let's bite the bullet. Let's go ahead and purchase it. And it's a beautiful book. It'll look really good on my bookshelf, and so I'm happy to have it. All right, and then I have 2 books that I have not purchased, but again, I do often frequent some of the book drops that are in my neighborhood, and I was able to get my hands on 2 books that I'm actually interested in reading and I'm excited to have. The first book is Where We Belong by Emily Griffin, and I believe it's a romance novel. I have not actually read anything about it, but I read the back cover and I was like, I'm in. So the back cover says, Marion Caldwell is a 36-year-old television producer living her dream in New York City. With a fulfilling career and picture-perfect relationship, she has convinced everyone, including herself, that her life is just as she wants it to be. But one night, Marion answers a knock on the door, only to find Kirby Rose, an 18-year-old girl with a key to the past that Marion thought she locked away forever. From the moment Kirby appears on her doorstep, Marion's meticulously constructed world will be shaken to its core, resurrecting memories of a passionate young love affair that threatened everything that has come to define her. For the precocious and headstrong Kirby, the encounter will spur a process of discovery that ushers her into the threshold of adulthood, forcing her to reevaluate her family and future in a wise and bittersweet light. As Marion and Kirby embark on a quest to find the one thing missing in their lives, each will come to recognize that where we belong is often where we least expect to find ourselves, a place that we may have willed ourselves to forget, but that the heart remembers forever. It doesn't actually, now that I'm rereading it, doesn't actually seem to be more of a romance novel, but it seems almost in the suspense. I'm getting a little bit of suspense, a little bit, maybe not thriller, but I was like, that's interesting. You always love a good story where the past comes to haunt you and you think you leave things in the past and then they come and, you know, wreck shit. So I'm really excited to read Marion and Kirby's stories, and I'm happy to have this book on my bookshelf. All right, another book that I was able to find in my neighborhood in the book drops is a book called The Artist's Way. and it is by Julia Cameron. This is a nonfiction book, and it's basically a book for artists and writers, basically to be able to unleash the creativity that you have inside of you and be able to structure your life in a way that would be able to unleash that creativity. I'm really excited to read this because I do dabble in, this is embarrassing to admit, but I do dabble in art. I love to paint and I love to actually write. I write every morning. I've started to read this a little bit. And so one of the things that she recommends is to do morning pages. And so I've started to incorporate some of that along with my morning writing. But yeah, I'm really excited to read this, to understand and have some principles and how to unleash that creative expression, how to just basically remove some of those creative blocks. I've heard a lot of good things about the methods that she employs or talks about in this book. And so I'm really excited to dive deep into them and kind of apply them for my own life. So The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron is a book that I'm really excited to have on my bookshelf. All right, and so that is it. I have a couple of books that I purchased, a couple of books that I borrowed, a couple of books that I just kind of found and they found me. And I'm really excited to just kind of have all of these books in my space now. I think I'm really the most excited about The Vanishing Half and also The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. But I love all books and I'm so really excited to have them in my collection. Let me know if you've read any of these books down below. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope through watching this, you found some books that you may want to add to your list to be able to put on your bookshelf. And again, if you've read any of these books, definitely let me know what you think. Which one should I read first? I don't know, but let me know. Thanks so much for watching this video. If again, you have not subscribed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and the notification bell so that you're notified of every time that I upload. Also follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Adanna L. And there you'll see a lot of more of the behind the scenes content. So thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys later. Bye.